Section 4. Defining meaning. Now that we have a strategy to deal with uncertainty, we can begin to discuss how we can use them to find meaning and purpose. The first step of this process is to define what constitutes meaning. Everyone has an intuitive understanding of what efforts have meaning and what efforts don't, but I believe this is a good example to highlight the difference. Consider the small amount of effort required to pick up a cup of water. If you pick up the cup and immediately place it back down exactly where you found it, the effort you use to do this seems meaningless, as it achieves no discernible change. You might as well never have picked it up at all. On the other hand, if you pick up that same cup and take a drink, the minor effort used gains meaning because it fulfills the goal of quenching your thirst. Thus, effort becomes meaningful if it makes some change towards a goal. In our lived experience, there is much effort required in life, yet we endure it because we believe it will help us progress towards some goal. We try to avoid doing things we think are meaningless, and don't mind hardship or suffering if there is sufficient meaning to justify it. We also want to protect the progress we make towards a goal from being erased. For example, imagine you spent your entire life secretly working on the most beautiful painting ever made. Nearing the end of your life, you finally ask for it to be unveiled to the public, only to be informed that your studio burned down and the painting was destroyed. This would be extremely tragic because we understand that we poured our life's effort into that painting, and now it is gone. In the face of this tragedy, we know it is highly likely we will never achieve our life's goal due to the lost effort and limited time remaining, and so our life has lost significant meaning. For this reason, we tend to pick goals we think we can actually achieve and try to apply effort in a way that won't be erased. If we knew a goal we wanted to pursue would be erased, it wouldn't make sense to apply effort towards it. We also understand that sometimes we must let go of goals to pursue ones with more meaning to us. Given the fact that we live for a finite amount of time in a world with finite resources, out of necessity, we form a hierarchy of goals in our mind. This hierarchy dictates how we live and what goals we're willing to sacrifice to achieve more meaningful ones. For example, if it came to it, I would sacrifice my goal of learning Greek to fulfill my goal of not starving to death. At the top of the hierarchy is our most important goal, or our principal goal. This goal is the one we find the most meaning in achieving and would sacrifice all our other goals for. As a result, it dictates every decision that we make to some degree and heavily weighs our personal considerations of what we can and can't do. Improving the alignment of this principal goal across humanity is what this work is primarily concerned with doing. Thankfully, alignment does not mean everyone must become exactly the same. Our principal goal tends to be general enough that large amounts of people can share it while approaching it in totally different ways. For example, two people can have the goal of ending world hunger, and one could be a farmer and the other an engineer. This is perfectly valid, as when a principal goal is shared, the essential criterion is that any approach doesn't necessarily hinder one another. Thus, all of humanity can share the same overarching principal goal and still potentially think, act, and live quite differently. Still, the degree of individuality permitted by a shared principal goal can vary greatly, which is why it must be chosen very carefully.